Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Heroes Hype Amateur Series number 89. Long-standing tradition here in the Heroes of the Storm amateur scene. My name is Lauren. It's my pleasure to cast for the first time the young man Fear. How you doing tonight, man?
I'm good, man. How are you?
You know, Fear, I wish I could say the same, but this Ginger Dread and Azebo issue, it's going off the rails, man. Argie's changing the avatar. People just linking me pictures of Ginger Dread and Azebo. Feels bad, man. It feels bad.
We're trying to immerse you in your fear that way that you overcome it this holiday season.
Full immersion over here, guaranteed. But this proverbial off season for competitive heroes stands to be pretty spicy indeed. In a lot of ways, this is going to feel like the Wild West. The patch that came out today changed quite a bit to the core function and flow of the entire game, not to mention all the stealth heroes are going to get shuffled around. If I'm a competitive player, I'm kind of thinking emoji on what this meta is going to look like tonight.
I'm curious too, because it's going to be interesting, and I think it's going to show maybe how quickly some of these teams can evolve and figure out what's strong faster than the others. Maybe some of the teams that have been at the top of the standings might not really be performing as well tonight if they're trying to stick with what they knew before. I think we might actually have some new stuff popping up. Not sure what, though.
I think we could see some Zeratul. Alex Straza's legal for the first time here at Heroes Hype. No Hanzo. We've heard from our good old fashioned Argie. He's changed it back. Thank you, Argie. Thank you. To the kid in the back, thanks. I don't want to look over and see that all night. Someone said face your fears. No, I don't want to face my fears. No Hanzo, zoomed out camera. Fear a couple of weeks ago, almost 3 weeks ago now, I happened to pick up an ultra wide monitor. The new camera zoom out, like I can just put my camera in the middle of the lane and just like see everything. Feels good.
Yeah, I knew about it, but I started playing yesterday. I was like, man, the towers are really, really small, and my hero looks really small, but I love it. I mean, having the wide field of view for team fights, you can almost see the whole center of like Battlefield of Eternity. I mean, it's just quality of life improvements that we keep getting in these small little patches, and they just add up, and I think it probably make a better observer experience, and I think it's going to be good for heroes moving forward into the 2018, HGC season and competitive season. It's going to be great.
I gotta agree, man. I saw it during BlizzCon, got to test it out a little bit on the PTR, and the game just feels, to me, more sophisticated with the zoom out. I don't know, it just seems more mature as a game. Can't really put my finger on exactly why. But one thing that I'm really curious to see tonight in particular are how the solo laners of these teams, how are they going to fare? Some of the maps, the objective timing has been changed considerably to put more of an emphasis on the laning phase of Heroes of the Storm. So if you get caught out, you get ganked, something like that, you're going to fall behind pretty hard, I feel, potentially. Also, the region globe change. Have you had a chance to play around with that?
I have had a chance to play with the region globe change, and my experience comes through the lens of ETC, playing with Prog Rock at level 1. I think the fastest I finished it was like 7.5, 8 minutes. If you're really bullying the lane, and just like I was just doing standard rotations on ETC, going to each lane and sort of just power sliding people out, I mean, it's unbelievable. And it feels more punishing when you're on the bad end of it, right? You just need that little, like 8% health and mana. It's really going to help you. I think it's a great change. Yeah, like between the tower changes, the orb changes, and just a couple weeks ago where we got all the support changes and the scaling down, I think all that's going to add up. Are we going to see the rise of sort of specialist heroes like Zagara and Azmodan? Are those going to become prevalent, or are they going to just kind of stay where they are? I'm curious to find out, and maybe even Sylvanas with the ammo changes. I think her power level might be up a little bit.
It's definitely going to shift the landscape and offer teams in my opinion, more options on how to approach Heroes of the Storm. I do think we'll see more of an emphasis potentially on siege heroes like Azmodan, like Sylvanas. They'll be much more viable. But at the same time, an NBA Jam just wreck your face burst comp, it's always going to be in style. But we've heard from our good old fashioned Argy. Our first game is going to be those guys going up against UNT Eagles, one of the stronger teams that we saw during the TESPA training grounds over the summer. And those guys were finalists last week and took it all the way to game 3. So, they want to try to get some revenge there.
I've casted those guys before. I'm not familiar with the Eagles, but everything I've seen out of those guys was pretty crisp execution, and they didn't really have one style. They weren't a one-trick pony. They played macro. They played blow-up comp. So, yeah, it should be an exciting first match. I think they're picking the maps coming up. What maps do you want to see here in the beginning here?
Argy's over here hit me with the long con, man. I looked in the game. He's on my friend list for now because I look over in his portrait. Dude, it's gotta stop. It's gotta stop. At some point, it freaks me out. I received no warning regarding this Ginger Dread Nazebo. But to answer your question, one of the maps I'm really looking forward to seeing is Dragonshire. I want to see how the siege camps showing up at level 1 at the first minute, how that could potentially have an impact, just the prolonged laning phase. I've always thought that was one of the more complex maps as far as rotations and strategies on the macro front go. How today's patch has affected that, I'm curious.
Yeah, I think there was an issue on Dragonshire where if you had top keep, your catapults would get hit by the mid for it. I think they fixed that with the night changes as well. That is what I'm really curious about. How many teams set a priority on capturing the night camp in the bottom? Because now, if you guys don't know that, middle mage merc grants a 20%, I believe, spell armor aura to everyone in there, and that's pretty good for a game-ending push.
It's not too shabby. It definitely has some interesting stakes. Over on last week's episode of HeroesHype Live, we got to talk about that for quite a bit with one of the prominent members of Oh My Science, who have also signed up tonight. I'm looking over at the teams who signed up. I'm going to give them a shout out to show our appreciations. Let me load those up. Let's look at these participants. We're going to have coming in hot Foxhounds, Fratris, Moto, NA Lull, who won last week, ODI, Oh My Science, Team Cynix. I don't know. The new guys, the Warthogs, those guys, and UNT Eagles, the last two of which we're about to see now. It looks like UNT banned out Infernal Shrines. Those guys took Cursed off the board. And I saw Argy typing. Is this how it's going to be tonight, Argy? Argy's going out and troll me,
you in the dark,
drum roll, everything else. See, put a bunch of dots in there. Braxis Holdout. How do you feel about that, Fear?
Personally, maybe my least favorite map to play on, just because how oppressive it can feel with the if you immediately are losing waves. And I think it's gotten a little bit tougher even with the orb changes and everything. But a fun map to watch. I like rotations. I like how Genji's power level goes way up on this map just because of his ability to jump over the walls and stuff. I think it's a cool map. It's an interesting map. I don't like to play on it because I lose on it all the time. But I went on Blackheart's Bay, so I guess that's not much better. I think it should be great. I like the 4-man, and like you said, we're going to see how the solo lane. This is one of the maps where you're going to be in a 4-1 more than likely, and we're going to see what the picks are for solo lane. I assume those haven't changed too much, and we'll see how, if you're really bullied out of the lane, how much more successful the other person will be. So I think it should be good.
Yeah, I gotta agree, man. Slip TV in the chat say, "Hey, casters, have fun." Oh, we're definitely gonna have fun, man. I hope you guys are all looking to have a good time as well. While we're getting this first game set up, I want to give a shout out to Argy and Ball and Beast for running the production things, making our lives easy, as well as all the admins and those working behind the scenes at HeroesHype that make this organization and this institution for the scene the legend that it is. Thank you, guys.
Wow, look at that new Stukov portrait. I have not seen that. Or maybe that's just been hiding in the back of the game that I haven't seen. That
I don't know.
That's beautiful.
But
I like
we got the lobby here. Solidarity is a real thing.
So let's see. It's going to be
those guys are on the
those
way.
guys are picking first.
And looks like they're enjoying the luxuries of first pick, first ban indeed.
So do you think what do you think?
Cow see, it's spreading, man. Calgary on UNT Eagles. The ginger dread in his Evo, man.
I see him showing a Murden portrait. I think that maybe you're
no,
gone over the deep edge. We lost the Lauren, guys.
Don't suggest I've lost my sanity. Arya said, "Do you remove me?" No, I said.
Wakes up in the middle of the night smelling gingerbread, cold sweat pouring off your face.
I was wake up at like 3:30 in the morning, like Nazimo.
I think it's weird that he doesn't have changed voice lines. So he's just he's the same guy. He's just made out of
fear. I don't even want to know what he would sound like, Fiend, man. I mean, I agree. When I first saw the skin, you would think that there'd be some kind of, even just like to tint his voice in some kind of way.
Yeah.
But it's just the normal one. I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear what his voice would sound like. Am I showing offline? I think that's what it is. Oh, yep. There we go. GG. But yeah, Brax's holdout. I actually am more curious to see how the 4-man fares on Brax's holdout. Because of the region globe changes, if one team bullies someone hard out of the lane, that's a potential 3 region globe swing. That's like a well. Yep. Every wave potentially, like it, once the region globe at the top and bottom of the map are back up. So that push potential from like an Ariel, something like that, it's gonna be insane.
Yeah, Chromie. I love Chromie on this map. I gotta say, she's probably my favorite hero to play on this map. If my hand is forced.
Without any further ado, the first game of the night. Those guys, they're out on the frontier, the cutting edge, because this is a very new meta, very new play style. Those guys are on the left.
You think we're gonna still see a lot of the garage fear that's all over the place? I
think it's the easiest thing to take away from the opponent. If you have any concerns about your own team's ability to position themselves properly, to potentially get caught out, especially early on the battleground like Brax's holdout, a conservative hand would look to take Garrosh off the board.
Yeah. I think it just is a safe pick. Let's see there.
Well, they
deliberating, trying to figure out, but
I see them flipping between ETC and Tassadar at a breakneck pace, and they're going to take the Moo Man off the board. This could potentially force the hand of UNT Eagles to use their ban to take Garrosh, because
this is a strategy I've been employing in my drafts. Like I've been playing in a small amateur, for Fun League, and I play Garrosh personally. I say I just ban whatever, and then see if you ban Garrosh, and then try to punish the Valera. Wow. Okay.
Ooh.
So
this is a new day, Fear. The meta.
I played a lot of Valera yesterday, and
she hits hard, and like a truck.
And the Garrow is like 2.75 seconds. So they must have known the Garrosh was coming. I assume they have something prepared, or they just think they can play well enough against it. There's still, if you're first picking it, there's a lot of room to counterpick. Malthael, Leoric, all do well.
Well, the ETC ban definitely has some added context, because Face Melt's one of the stronger deterrents to stave off an engagement from Garrosh. So that's going to further enable that first pick. XO616 said, "What's your take on the Hero League Team League reset?" In general, new seasons, I tend to wait like a week because the games, in my opinion, at the beginning of the season can be kind of clown shoe. But I think it was kind of expected that there'd be some bumps in the road with the performance-based matchmaking change. I'm more than prepared to just be patient with Blizzard and make sure they have the time they need to have everything go smoothly. So I don't know. I'm still in a wait and see kind of mode personally.
Yeah, I also want to take my time to confirm how that I am actually just a gold player. So Vala Uther, I mean, that's nothing exciting or different. It's just those are safe, solid picks that I don't think really speak to any particular playstyle. So I don't think we're really going to see what's coming out of the Eagles until after the second ban phase.
The early Uther pick brings concerns about a back end Lunara on the side of those guys. The spread damage really hurts those longer cooldowns. Uther is a more single target focused healer. Chromie's definitely looking to do that, but she has a generous amount of splash damage herself. I'm kind of curious how Garrosh and Stukov are going to synergize together because it's like, Garrosh pulls someone in, throws them over the shoulder, and then Stukov has to have the butterfly net out already to catch them. I don't know. I'm curious to see where their lockdown goes.
I remember when Stukov, when Garrosh first released, there was some HGC teams trying it. I mean, you really had to throw him, right? You put the arm down and threw him in and hope that their escape didn't come up. It's, even just a pustule follow-up, I think, is like a safe way to go, though, because that slow is pretty significant. It's like 85%, and it's long duration to lock that up for Chromie. But yeah, throw into the old arm is great too.
Now this Genji ban, conceptually, on the larger scale, I get it. Genji's a very strong hero. Cooldown resets, high mechanical skill, can do wonders if you have this hero at your controls. But if you're on the side of those guys and you're hanging your hat on Chromie damage to have success, to see the enemy team ban both Valera and Genji, you got to be like,
yeah,
thanks. Like,
and the Eagles also have Uther, which is one of Genji's primary enablers, right? Genji is so much scarier when he comes out with the Dragon Blade and Divine Shield. So it must just be particular map. Like I said, he can just trait over the wall and then dash over the second wall, and he's top to bottom in like 12 seconds. But it's crazy.
I mean, yeah, I get it. I get why you'd want to take Genji off the board, but you definitely, in my opinion, the Eagles are helping those guys out to some degree. Chromie can breathe a little easier with those two heroes.
I'm not sure what would be a good ban. I'm not sure what you can take away from these first three picked heroes from those guys. I feel like it's such a solid start to the draft. Like, what can you take away from this team? It has, a solo lane.
I think they could have shifted fire and tried to prioritize the solo lane. Those guys do exactly that with the mouthfeel ban. If the Eagles don't take Sonya here in these next two heroes, I imagine that's who we'd see show up on the other side. Murd and Grimming, strong heroes, strong synergy, definitely can do well together. But we see in a situation right now, I don't think we see the Eagles as solo laner.
I agree.
But Sonya or Zagara, I feel have to be one of these last three.
I think if those guys get the Sonya, I mean, this draft is looking unbelievable. Not that there's anything wrong with the Eagles draft. This is classic drafting, you just come out with a strong specialist soul laner. But if they get the Sonya on the back end, I think that they'll be in great shape. But just leaving it open seems a little curious. I think you could have left Meriden knowing they have Garrosh. But, who knows what's going on in the heads when you're drafting. You're like messing with yourself sometimes. So I do it constantly.
And also keep in mind, this is that new game Hero Storm. I mean, the meta is wildly different. A couple of weeks ago, if we saw a Valera ban, it would look a little awkward. And we're going to see Sylvanas and Sonya considerably raising the stakes for the early game. If you lose a bunch of heroes on the side of Eagles, Sylvanas is going to be there tapping on your structures at no cost to them. Uh-oh.
I think it's great. Like, if you get that catch with Garrosh, you're in a 3 versus 4 situation. You just walk up to the wall, Sylvanas shuts it off, and then just have Chromie nuking in the middle of the gate there. Like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna stand outside. You're gonna go in. You stand outside. You get Garrosh pulled. You stand in the gate. You get Chromied. Alarak.
I like it.
That's a good response. Alarak's gonna shred Sylvanas and Chromie if he can get a hold of them in coupling with the Greymane. I mean, that's so much damage and so much burst. That's crazy.
We've been talking up this draft for those guys, and rightfully so, in my opinion. Very strong composition and lineup, multiple facets, multiple places to excel. But the more I'm thinking about this composition from UNT Eagles, have those guys played themselves? Because think about it, if Garrosh pulls someone, it's going to likely be Muradin, Greymane, or Alarak, heroes that don't really mind being out there anyway. And then they'll get the armor heal from Uther.
Mm-hmm. I think, going into the last 2 picks, before they picked the Sylvanas Sonya turn, I would have favored those guys. And as soon as that Alarak, with the Strange Sylvanas pick and then the Alarak counter, I feel like this is just even footing now. It's going to just come down to execution.
The thing I'm watching out for the most here is Stukov's cooldowns. If he uses his trait, and that's down for a full 15 seconds, that's a huge opportunity for auto-attack damage dealers like Greymane and Vala to get consistent and steady damage in. Garrosh isn't exactly the king of peel. So if someone jumps on Chromie or Sylvanas, he can kind of throw someone, but that ain't Johanna. Like, the damage is probably going to be there. But we're about to find out how this goes. First game of the night. Hope you guys are all as excited as we are. On the left, we have the members of those guys. Treebeard is on Chromie. Average Joe's playing Sonya. Sadats on Garrosh. Dr. Frost is looking to lock him down on Sylvanas. And Stukov is being played by Blue Demon.
And on the right side for the UNT Eagles, we got AKN on Uther, Arms of Gold on Greymane, Physicals on Alarak, Kalgor on Muradin, and Z Fury playing that new ballot skin.
Do we see some interesting tactics and strategery here? UNT Eagles look to be posting up, running it down mid on a 2-lane map. Kipo, Kalgor is going to finally show up. Time trap already there. It looks like those guys just want to play this straight up. Why not? You have Sylvanas to lock down those structures. The rotation has to come in. Treebeard, frontline Chromie, not exactly the positioning you want. Sadat goes fishing, almost catches Muradin. Comes up short on that. One of the towers eating a substantial amount of damage, but so far both of these teams just kind of poking and priding at each other.
Yeah, just feeling each other out, seeing what is happening, on either side, and just seeing what they can get with skill shots. There we go. I fixed my camera. Sorry, I was having a little bit of a camera issue. I fixed it now. So we're taking a look here at the solo lane,
Ooh, Z Fury gets a little too close to the front line and gets thrown out of position and finds out what the engage is like in 3D. It's going to pave the way for 2 early takedowns, less than a minute and a half into this game. And with Sylvanas in the employ, those early takedowns are going to get added value.
Yeah, I think it's just a little bit of a mispositioning, but, that's the thing about Braxis. You position yourself a little bit, 2 steps too forward, and Garrosh, 2 steps too forward, and that's, you're just out of it.
Those 2 takedowns are going to hurt. Level 4, not too far around the corner. But Sylvanas gets caught feeling a little frisky herself in a window of opportunity before a tier disadvantage. We see UNT Eagles rallying back and responding, getting a takedown of their own. Average Joe and Physicals continue to do battle up top. Bottom beacon was once again claimed by the Eagles, so We don't see 100% beacon just yet. Do not count the Eagles out.
Yeah, only 44%. Chromie's not hitting too many shots. She's only at 9 stacks, so nothing's going out of control here. Just a little bit of a half-level lead, but I think it's, this phase is going to determine whether the Eagles, fall way behind. But I think if they can come back and get at least 50%, they'll stay in this game. Oh, Greymane getting grabbed in, and Murden also super low. Looks like Greymane's going to fall, and Sylvanas chasing a bird, and you don't see that often.
Arms of Gold gets thrown out of position and deposited into the nearest receptacle. 3 takedowns to 1 in favor of those guys. 76% to 0. We see the Sylvanas composition getting that early value we theorized. Average Joe low on health, though. Physicals could look to make a play, potentially. But as long as Sylvanas is here and a potential threat, the defense has to be here for the Eagles.
And not too much pressure onto the front fort there, considering they had a 1-man up and they had it disabled. They just decided to play it safe, maintain control of the beacons. The Eagles still haven't gotten any percent, so I think they're just trying to prevent them from getting any Zerg wave other than those, 6 Zerglings that come out.
Another team fight kicking off. Dr. Frost low on health. Arms of Gold thrown out of position in the tower range and then gets collapsed on by the Treebeard burst. 4th takedown in favor of those guys. Gotta watch out for that burst in positioning, man. I'm shocked.
I gotta say, about a minute ago, Chromie had 9 stacks. She's already up to 28. He's just nailing all his hits now, W's and Q's. And, I mean, even with the armor buff, that's just erasing Greymane. He tries to engage. That's what he has to do. He's got to be pressuring the Sylvanas and the Chromie, or they're not going to stand any chance at all. But punished ruthlessly every time he goes in. Bad.
Treebeard, the North American sniper, he's playing paintball out here. He just lands another Q. A healthy Zerg wave, thanks to this Sylvanas lockdown, is going to pave the way for a substantial push. Level 7 to level 6. Sadet's looking for someone to throw over the wall. He dares you. Dr. Frost is still going to be able to lock down these structures. No one wants to step close and find out what it's like. This could be a 5-minute keep.
Look how healthy the wave is. This is insane. The Ultralists are all up. They're rushing to the back. I believe you're right. I think this is a 5-minute keep. And there's no more second tower. So look how deep Chromie can go, and just, wow. 5-minute, 3-second keep. I don't know if those guys are gonna continue and press the issue. The core at this level is scaled, but if you look, they have a 3-level lead. Well, 2.5 level lead, but still, it's 9.5 to 6 right now, and it looks like they want to fight on the core.
They're looking to hang out. Physicals low on health. Calgear waiting for that trait to come back around. Treebeard is going to get targeted by Uther of all heroes. Haunting Wave is going to potentially get Dr. Frost out. This could be an opportunity to respond before level 10 comes on board. Stukov gets taken down. Uther's low on health turns into a ghost, but that actually could be some added healing, but it won't be there in time for Alaric. 6 takedowns to 2. Make that 7.
The turn was excellent by the Eagles, and then Treebeard just turns around, hits a 3-man Dragon's Eye, and just almost obliterates the entire team, causing them to retreat and lose 2 members. And again, Chromie is just dealing out so much damage. She's closing in on her image already. They now have heroic talent advantage. This is going to be difficult for the Eagles to get back in. I think they just want to take their own mercs, but they've lost so much vision on the map, losing that front fort and keep.
We see those guys looking to get involved in lay claim to the enemy team bruiser camp. They have to do exactly that. The taunt goes in, a nice cleanse. Physical still going to get rocked. Doesn't matter. 8 takedowns now. Sylvanas wants to lock down his top structure and try to go for the double play and looking for both keeps. This is really starting to get out of the hand for the Eagles.
Dude, I see an offensive Dukov into the fray throw there at the beginning of that play.
You just might have.
The old throw and slap. I think that's the new strategy. I mean, this Sylvanas, this is what I play a lot of Sylvanas. This is everything I dreamed it would be. for the Sylvanas coming into this patch, I was really thinking a power level would rise. But I don't think this pressure is solely on Sylvanas. I think Chromie and just the overall performance is really what caused. Wow, nice grab onto Alarak, and he's going to fall in fractions of a second.
Physicals gets pulled in, thrown out of position, taunted. Someone made some comments about his mama. He hung around long enough for the Chromie blast to net the 9th takedown for those guys and a potential 2-tier advantage as the next set of beacons show up. We see a quintet of players that are firmly in the driver's seat right now.
Yeah, and this is a great call. Going for boss here, half a level till the Eagles get their heroic abilities, and there's just, even if they know about this, which I think they do, they can't do anything about it. So smart to just give it up. It hurts when you're on the losing end sometimes, but it's really the smart play. Ooh, Uther's going to be caught way out of position here, though. I mean, and that's going to cost them, 20 seconds without a support.
Sometimes you got to take that cursory glance at the mini-map. I'm sure the call was like, just soak, guys, just get level 10, get our heroics. Mm-hmm. But when you're going that far out to sweep the old broom and try to clear out some of those waves, the rotation could be there. And that's exactly what ended up happening. And the taunt goes in on 2 members. The poison spear hits Murd in the front lines, the first to go down, looking like he's made out of paper mache. Divine Shield's going to help Volek get back for the moment. The pull just misses from Sadet, but the eyes start to turn towards the core. Shields are down 80% and falling.
And the boss is on there with full text. It does look like this game is going to go the way of those guys in very convincing fashion. But that's Braxis. I mean, Braxis tends to look like that.
I guess the irony of it all is that the Eagles chose that map because those guys have first pick, first ban.
Yeah, and
the tables turn pretty hard though.
And I think, like we were talking about, the solo lane had almost no bearing on the outcome of that game. They both just held. And it was sort of a stagnation, and then the 4-man just, I think, just starting with that initial volley catch, which I totally missed because I had a camera issue. But was it a garage grab? And then it was just, a boulder rolling downhill from then on.
Yeah, directly onto the faces of the Eagles, as it would seem. I feel like those guys had a competency check composition. And what I mean by that is this. Garrosh is one of those heroes. It's like, if you can't play around me, I'm going to steamroll you. Sylvanas, to an equal extent, for different reasons. If you can't play around Sylvanas, if you can't keep her away from the structures so she doesn't lock them down, you're going to get steamrolled. Chromie is another one of those heroes where it's like, if you can reliably get the Chromie, she feels completely unsafe on the battlefield and is largely ineffective. But like we were talking about during the draft, they banned Genji and Valera, 2 of the strongest answers to Chromie. So it was just a recipe for a rough go of it. And that's kind of how it turned out.
Yeah, I wonder if there just isn't a lot of confidence on the Eagles playing Genji or Valera, and so they just wanted to not see it. Like we talked about, it's understandable, but you got to bring something to either Chromie or Sylvanas. So either some kind of range pressure that you can put on Sylvanas because she has not quite the range that Chromie does, or something a little more divey, such as Genji or Valera, or maybe even a Zeratul. I'm not sure how that would work with the new ult and everything, but we'll see. I'm sure we'll find out. We'll get 1 or 2 sliding through, and tonight, after seeing first game Sylvanas already, I like it.
The new meta is real. The debate was in on round 1. We see those guys advance to the next. We've heard from our good old-fashioned Argy. Looks like they're starting the map bands Meow, coming in hot versus those guys. I don't think I've had the luxury or pleasure of seeing coming in hot, but always good to see new blood here at HeroesHype.
I have actually. I've cast a
Oh, yeah?
couple of just scrims. They scrimmed with Moto, and I've just done some. When I was practicing for doing some casting, I've cast coming in hot, and they're pretty good. They had some really coordinated burst combos when I saw them. I think they were doing like a Greymane Li Ming, and I think that's going to be strong. The reset combos with the health reduction on supports, and if you don't pick a support with some self-saving options like an Uther, heroes like Rhaegar can't self-ancestral, can't self-cleanse. It's difficult to deal with stuff like that. So maybe that's what we'll see out of them. I don't know if they entertain macro global style play as well, but they have some crisp execution from what I've seen.
I'm excited to see how they fare. Looks like those guys have selected Battlefield of Eternity, another 2-lane battleground. They showed they have more than enough competency and confidence on Brax's holdout. If they employ a similar strategy, though, for the reasons you stated, they could run into a rougher set of waters, because if coming in hot now to play more dive-centric heroes, if they go for more cooldown reset heroes like the Greymane, like the Genji. I like calling the Li Ming Genji combination the Vohio. As is me personally. Those cooldown resets on a squishier target like Chromie, Sylvanas could end a team fight before it begins.
Yeah, but I mean, like killing people before you can even press your ice block. Like scary. When the Greymane E and R are hitting at the same time as your Li Ming or Magic Missile combo, you're like, where'd they go? And they just disappeared.
Just evaporate.
But
look at these guys. They changed their portraits in the lobby.
They're all the master portraits now.
They were the Stukovs last go around and took Stukov. So I wonder if we're seeing any foreshadowing this go round.
Well, and I wonder if those guys are just gonna employ the same exact strategy they just did, which is really strong 4-man, pick Sylvanas late, and this is one of the maps that Sylvanas, even before, was maybe only viable on this map because the Immortal is so powerful if you get any decent amount of shielding. But again, then Greymane is strong on the other end of it because he's strong on the race. So I'm interested to see if they shift their perspective here, if they just think it's going to work.
They might want to reshuffle their priorities, because if they caught any part of last game, there were some very key aspects that got a lot of value, to say the least, for those guys. I feel like you're leaving Sylvanas on the board at your own peril. The way those guys were able to get it, keep it 5 minutes?
Keep it 5 minutes. They can keep it 7 with just like
that's hard to come back from. I mean, if you get thrown out of position by Garrosh and you die, that's one thing. Dying and losing an entire structure for it, that's a whole different ball of wax. So if they leave Sylvanas out there and those guys snap her up, that is a vote of confidence from coming in hot, because they're like, we're not going to lose any team fight.
We got this. Hold my beer.
But without any further ado, let's get into it. The next game of the night. On the left side, we have those guys once more going up against Coming In Hot. Coming In Hot should be first pick, first ban. We'll see how studious they were or were not from the last game.